Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of QubaHQ Tutorials. I'm QubaHQ and today I'm gonna talk to you about color correction and specifically about Channel Splitter, a new After Effects script and Photoshop action I designed to simplify the process of color grading my images and my footage. Now, unless you yourself are a color grading professional or you work with someone professional in a system like DaVinci Resolve, I'd be willing to bet that most of your color grading needs can be fulfilled by using a set of simple Photoshop and After Effects adjustment layers, curves, levels, hue, saturation, brightness, contrast, and so on and so forth. And those are very powerful tools that can achieve a lot of great results, but personally, I never found them too intuitive and I always had problems achieving the results I wanted to really quickly. And I think this could be due to two major reasons. First is the way I learned about color. So somewhere deep inside my head, I still think about color in the subtractive color model. The color model that I learned in the kindergarten with crayons and watercolor paints, the model in which you take yellow and blue, mix them together and get green, where you take yellow and red, mix them together and get orange, the way children see color. And while this is quite useful when you work with print, in video and VFX industry, we mostly work with the RGB color model. And in this space, we deal with the additive color theory. So we mix colors like red and green to create yellow, or green and blue to create cyan. And this is something that my head just never really managed to memorize really well. I have to often peek at the color wheel to quickly recognize what will be the result of mixing any two given colors. The other reason comes out directly from this lack of memorization of the additive color model, and that is that whenever I use curves, I tend to forget what will be the expected result of me manipulating them. I'm talking a lot. Let me just show you on the example. So this is a picture of a metal cup from a local Turkish restaurant I like to go to. Let me just quickly apply curves to it and try to do a bit of Instagram kind of cross-processed feel. So, it's something that I have memorized, and honestly speaking, I don't really know exactly what I'm doing, but I know that I need to go to, let's say, red and create an S curve on it, right? So I'm gonna push the right region up and the left region down, and then I'm gonna go to green and do the Z curve on it. So I'll push the left one up and the right one down, and you can already see the results coming up in here. And then I'm gonna go to blue and replicate either of those curves. Right, and voila, we have a kind of Instagram looking filter, and I can then, take it and let's say duplicate this layer onto another image. So let's say I'll put it on my portrait, and look, wow, normal photo, and here is a cross-processed look. And there are tricks like that you learn over the course of the years, but if you ask me, what did I do exactly to the red color and what did I do exactly to green, etc., I would have to stop and think before I can give you a proper answer. It's not intuitive enough. I'm not really sure whether this point controls the bright parts of the red channel or the dark parts, and I have to play with it. And okay, I see, this is the bright parts. Bright parts are on the right. Now, moving it up, will it make it stronger or weaker? I think you get my drift. I use those tools, but every time I open them up, I kind of approach them as if I never used them before, start from something that I tested and tried before, and then, have to play around quite a bit before I achieve the result I want to. If you watched some of my recent tutorials, you've probably seen that I started playing a lot with color separation and creating extra channels. It's been quite evident, especially in the chromatic aberration tutorial, where I created the script in which instead of classic 3 channels, you can use pretty much as many color channels as you want and blend them together to create the final image and so on and so forth. And kind of running on top of the script I created for that effect, I made myself this little tool that I find extremely helpful that I use to color correct stuff, or at least to try things out. So this photo, it has a lot of reds in it, so maybe it's not ideal for demonstration. I'm gonna jump actually to this one and maybe make the color wheel a bit smaller. Let's just rearrange the windows a little bit and give ourselves some more estate here. So yeah, you may remember this. I used this to tease the rainy window tutorial. And again, you know, I could go to curves and play with them and achieve something, or I could be really brave and go into channels and then work on them separately. But as you see, you know, as I switch between them, I don't really get good feedback. I could probably have to open a secondary window that shows me, you know, the final result. I mean, it's a bit messy. So what I like to do is this. I select my layer, go to my actions, and those are some actions you may be familiar with. Image to stencil and gifify, but here's a new one. It's called the channel split, or it should be called channel splitter, and I'll probably rename it before I put it up for the download. Now, if you don't know how to install After Effects scripts or Photoshop actions, just Google it. I mean, it's really easy, and you know, every operating system has a different folder where the files go, but you're basically going to download the file from my site, unzip it, and put the Photoshop actions in the Photoshop folder and After Effects script in the After Effects folder, and you'll be good to go. So I'm assuming you already done it and you have stuff installed, and all you need to do at that point is select the action you want to run, and I'm gonna use RGB to RGB first because it's the simplest, and just click play. All right, and it's done. So if you were looking at the image, there is no difference, nothing has changed. But if you look at the layers palette, you'll see that now we have something else, and I can even switch off my original and the image is still here. And the cool thing about the script is it's going to split whatever your composition or whatever your layer composition looks like. So if you had 10 layers in there, it's going to flatten them and then apply the effect. So it does not only work on the particular layer you had selected. So what this script just did, or this action just did, is it took my image and split it into 3 separate layers, each of them being a color layer with a mask, and they all sit on top of just a black solid. Right, and I'm using After Effects terminology in here. I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to talk about. So, you know, we have 3 separate channels. One is red, one is green, and one is blue. And sure enough, you know, once we start mixing them, I mix blue and red, and I have to look at my wheel again to know. So blue and red, it's gonna create some magenta in there. Yay, here's magenta. Or, you know, I mix red and green, again, cheat sheets, yellow, I'm gonna create some yellows, and I mix all 3 of them to achieve the final result. But the cool part right now is you gain a new way of modifying colors. So if you want to do the same thing you did with the curves before, no problem, right? You just select, let's say, the green channel and go to image adjustments, let's say curves, and you can still do it. So you don't have 3 separate channels, you have each of them on a different layer, but you can still do, you know, our cross-processed look, and you can see that even with one channel it's starting to look fairly processed. And you can do a lot of stuff with it, you know, you can increase it, decrease it, and again, you know, as I said, I'm kind of messing around in here. I have no idea what the results will be, but you have full control over each of the channels. Now, the cool thing is that apart from that, you can also decide what colors you're going to be mixing. So at the moment, we're mixing red, green, and blue. What would this image look like if we mixed orange, red, and blue? So all you need to do is just double click here and change the color of this particular channel. So look, this is a very interesting look that would be fairly difficult to achieve using just curves alone. Now, what if we keep this channel but maybe desaturate it? Okay, this becomes kind of bluish. What if we make it kind of dark and murky. This looks like an underwater imagery. Would it look the same if we switch it off? Yeah, kind of, so maybe that doesn't count. What if we do 2 green channels? Well, it's very green, as I guess it was to be expected. What if we switch the red into green and the green into red? Okay, that's an interesting result and kind of unexpected. And what if we take the blue now and change it to cyan? So as you can see already through just simple experimentations, we get a lot of really cool results very quickly. And it's a very non-destructive way of working with color. You know, at any moment also, if you want to revert to it, you just switch those layers off and come back, or you start mixing them on top of your original footage for even more results. Let's turn this back on. So effectively, what I've just done is I took my color wheel, right, and I split it into kind of red, green, and blue. And I'm just gonna rerun the script again, maybe on a different image actually. Let's go back to our cup and just open it up and run it very quickly. And I really like how fast it is to get to this stage. Now, you know, I'm not releasing the source for either the script or this action, but it's really nothing secret in there. I simply automated a process that you would otherwise have to do manually, in which you select the channel and create a mask and then create a new color layer, etc., etc. So if you think about kind of older movies, before the 3-color process really kicked in, there are some films that were using a 2-color process. So what would this image look like if we did that to it? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep the red channel, and actually let me just show you what I'm gonna do here. So instead of this, I'll use these two, red and cyan. Let's see if you know, if it will lead me anywhere, because it may be just a stupid idea. So I'm gonna turn off a blue color, get the green one and change it into cyan. And you know what? It actually does work. Maybe I have to cheat and get a bit on the green side. It does have a kind of cool retro look, and you know, you can go further. You don't actually have to stop in here. I wonder, should I try to make 2 of them? Cyan, no, that's way too strong. This is a cool look. I like this one a lot. So you can go much further with this. It's not just a color correction plugin. You can also grab those pixels in here, right? The actual image you have in the channel, and modify it. So what if I decide to stretch it slightly, right? I'm starting to get this kind of 3D glasses effect. I can actually come back. So red, green, this should be blue. Let's just type it by numbers, and this should be green. So 00 FF00. So you can create, you know, kind of primitive version of chromatic aberration in here. You can take one of the channels, let's say the green one, and blur it. So let's just apply Gaussian blur on it. And you know, this is so ugly, I'm not even gonna keep it, but you can if you want to. This is the most basic functionality of it, and later in this video I'm gonna jump to After Effects and just reiterate it and show it how it works in there, but there is more. So a moment ago I was talking about crayons and the way I learned about color theory in kindergarten, etc., but so far I've still been working on the RGB color model. Now, if you looked carefully when I opened Actions palette, you probably noticed that we have a number of actions in there, and indeed you can actually create RGB to CMY as well. And I'm saying CMY because the K, which stands for black in 4-color printing process, doesn't really apply in here. It's not necessary to do color correction. Black is simply an ink that is being used in print houses to save on all other inks for, say, text, etc. So let's do it on the image of this handsome fella in here. I'm gonna select RGB to CMY, hit play, and as you can see right now we have quite different thing in our, why do I have curves in here? I think I was demonstrating something. I have quite different look in here in my layers. So effectively, what I have just done is, you go away, and let's just quickly okay, now I'm messing up. Undo, undo. Brush tool. All right. Instead of RGB, I'm mixing cyan, magenta, and yellow. And you'll notice that actually the layers are already named for you. They're not colored, unfortunately, and I wonder if that's just me being lazy or After Effects doesn't have those colors. Let me see. Where are the layer properties? Not panel options. I always forget where this panel is. Layer properties. Okay, we have it here. Yellow, blue, violet. Yeah, so the colors for correct labels don't exist in Photoshop, so that's why I left it alone. But anyway, this is a nice CMY no-K color split. So again, if I turn one of those layers off, you'll see that I'm mixing only two. And as I said, you have a cyan, you have magenta, and you have yellow. So you can very quickly create kind of a broken print effect if you, say, take one of the channels and offset it a little bit, right? Maybe let's offset all three. Let's take the cyan, kind of transform it here. And this starts looking like something that has been printed with bad calibration on the printer. And again, you know, you can readjust all this stuff and make it work as you want to. And just like with the RGB color, you can now start playing around with the colors that you're mixing. So what if instead of magenta, we actually used red? We would get kind of sickly looking, reddish, ugly thing. What if we printed more of a green plate? We wouldn't see crap. Well, that wasn't really very effective. Let's try the cyan. Let's move it towards blue, or actually towards green. And this is kind of cool, really warm look to it. And again, you know, you can adjust how much of saturation you're giving it, etc., etc. So the only thing to kind of pay attention to when you're mixing those colors is that you're working on the inverted image, right? So if I right now, let's say, apply levels to it, and I'll want to kind of crush the dark colors, my natural instinct would be to pull it from this side, but actually it's doing the opposite. It's removing the dark ones and giving you very bright colors, so you would have to go in the opposite direction. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. Let me just quickly revert it, or actually instead of reverting, I'm just gonna reapply it because it's so quick. There we go. So other things that you could do is simulate halftones. So let's say I'm gonna start with magenta because it's most visible. I just select the layer and go into filter. Where is it? Color halftone. I think it was in stylize. Is it in stylize? Maybe it's not in stylize. Pixelate. Yes, pixelate color halftone. And just decrease the radius. And it doesn't matter what channel we're talking about because we're working on a mask. So I'm just gonna type the same number in all of the windows, 45. And I get this cool, you know, halftone look to it now. Let me turn on the cyan color and apply the same filter. Whoops, need to select the mask first. Apply the same filter so it's in pixelate color halftone, but give it slightly different angle. So let's say 120. And probably I just need to type it in one. I just don't know which one. And let's do the same thing to the yellow channel. I really hope you can see it on the video. If not, then just trust me, I'm doing something quite boring. So pixelate color halftone, and let's do 90 degrees on this one, right? So 90, 90, 90, 90. So we end up with 3 layers, and some of them look really bad, but when we mix them up, we get this cool print effect. And you may say, oh, you've been using color halftone, you could just apply color halftone by itself. Sure, I could, but now again, with this plugin, I can change the inks that I'm mixing together very easily, and modify it further, and begin offsetting just particular channel, or I could have each of the channels rendered with a different dot resolution. So actually, I'm gonna do that very quickly. Let's see. So I have the magenta already applied, and it's fairly fine dots. But let's say for the cyan, I'm gonna go to filter noise, pixelate color halftone, and make the dots twice the size, right, at the 90 degrees, and this kind of looks better. And for yellow, I'm gonna make them 4 times the size, so twice the size again, 16, and let's give it whatever, 55, 55, 55. I don't really know what the color, what the correct one should be. And now that I mix it, you see like it still forms the image, but creates this very unique blending pattern that would be otherwise quite difficult to achieve. And we could do tons of things with that, and I think I'm gonna demonstrate you the next one on one more action. So let's go back to the cap maybe. And so far we've been using only the RGB images, so I'm just gonna very quickly go to image mode and switch it to CMYK. So you're not absolutely limited to working with RGB, although I recommend RGB, especially if you're planning to take those files to After Effects later. After Effects does not support CMYK. But if you want to start with a CMYK source, no problem. So here's a CMYK image, open the actions, CMYK to CMYK, boom. Right, and it's done. And this time you actually get the black channel, so removing it kind of gets rid of all the darkness. And again, you can do pretty cool things. So I'm assuming if I warm up the black, I should get much hotter image. Yes, I do. And if I cool it down, I get that kind of hazy look. Exactly. And again, I can use all these colors and do modifications and Instagram the hell out of the image very quickly. So this is how it works in Photoshop. It's really a no-brainer, and you can experiment a lot, modify the channels or modify the colors, or as I like to call them, inks that you're mixing, and get cool results. So next, let's jump to After Effects and have a look at the script, which I created that does the very same thing. So before we start, and actually, you know what, let's put something on the screen so that it looks better, I guess, and maybe make it run a preview. Before we start, I'm really bad at remembering to give credit where credit is due. So I have it fresh in my head right now, and I just want to make sure to give a shout out to Jonathan Baecker, who helped me translate chromatic aberration and localize it for German. He also worked already with me on this script, on the channel splitter. So at the moment of the release, channel splitter will work both in the English language and German language versions of After Effects. Now, all the prompts and all the questions that the script asks will still be in English, but it will apply all the correct effects and basically not fail as it does for the languages that are not localized. Now, if you use After Effects in any other language and you would like to use the script, this one or chromatic aberration, shoot me an email. Just check out the contact page on my website. I would be more than happy to walk you through what I need to do a local version for your language, and it really takes no more than 10 minutes to provide me with the necessary information, and then you can use the script, and so can everyone else in your country. All right, let's do this. So I already have the script installed. You know what? I'm gonna do one more thing. So in Photoshop, I run everything on a single layer, and just to make sure that I'm not cheating, let's go back to, let's say, my picture, and let's grab the rainy window and kind of cut a piece of it out and drop it on a second layer on top. What happened? I didn't copy it. I was on the wrong layer. Copy, paste. Oh, that's so beautiful. And you know, I can run the script right now, and it's going to combine these two layers and create a composite for me, right? So in After Effects, what's happening? I thought I just closed Photoshop. In After Effects, you can also use multiple layers, but of course you will need to pre-compose them before the script can run. And the script is going to pre-compose it for you, so you don't need to worry about it. Now, the cool thing about the script is I didn't really bother, to be honest, to figure it out in Photoshop, but in here I made sure that the alpha channel gets preserved as well as the color channels. So let's just quickly add maybe some text in here. So maybe some text in here. I can make it slightly bigger. And you know, I'm not doing art in here. This is ugly, and ugly it shall remain. Let's make a copy of this layer, color this text into black, and just offset it a bit so that it has some drop shadow. And then I'm gonna cut a hole in our rain. So let's make a beautiful star. Oh, how wonderful. Okay, and maybe I can change it to subtract. Right, so it looks black, but if I turn on transparency grid, this is actually a hole. I wouldn't say, you know, this is a good composition by any stretch of an imagination, but it is a relatively complex one, right? It has masks, it has multiple texts, a video playing, and so on and so forth. So let's go to File, Scripts, and you can see we have chromatic aberration and channel splitter in here. And as soon as I run it, it will ask me, hey, do you want to pre-compose all layers? And inform me that yes, indeed, I have 3 layers. So if I say no, the script will just abort, so I have to say yes. And then a second window pops up, which opened on the other monitor, asking you what kind of split I want to apply. So I can take this into RGB over black or CMY over white. So let's choose the first one. And again, it's done, right? So it pre-composed our original thing into QubaHQ channel splitter source and turned it off, and created 5 layers. So one is a black solid, another one is the red channel, and you can see that there is some freakiness happening in here, and that's because that's where the alpha channel was. We have the green in add mode, and we have blue in add mode, and on top of that we have a stencil alpha layer which will punch that hole back in, right? And again, just like previously, you can take any of those layers and, I don't know, offset them to the side, or stretch them, or bulge them, or apply a different color. So if you want to do that, you probably don't want to touch the channel combiner, because that's what is pulling the right information from the source. But you just play with this fill. So if I click here and everything keeps opening on the other monitor, just like in Photoshop, I can adjust the colors I'm mixing together in order to create this effect. So really, there isn't really that much difference between what we've been doing in Photoshop and what we're doing in here. Let's just quickly undo a few times, get back to before we applied the script. There we go. And you know what? I'm gonna get rid of this text and get rid of this nasty mask, because I really don't want it. And just for the sake of demonstrating it, I'm gonna quickly show you how it looks with the cyan, magenta, and yellow applied, and then show you a cool trick that you can do with it. And then we'll probably call it a wrap. Okay, so just like we did before, we have the layer selected. Let's go to File, Scripts, and Channel Splitter. Do you want to pre-compose? So it actually shouldn't ask for a pre-composing of a single layer, but what the hell, let it do it. And I'm gonna let it do CMY over white, right? And exactly the same thing happened. I can actually remove the alpha. I don't need it because there is no alpha in this image. And again, you know, we have white background with cyan, magenta, and yellow forming the final color. I don't know if you follow my blog or my YouTube channel, but in 2013, I believe, wow, it was a while ago now. I think it was 2013. I created this series of videos for a company called Olivari, which were video clips for a band called Bowerbirds. And one of the techniques I used repeatedly over the course of that project, it was a total of 8 or 9 videos, was revealing the image channel by channel. And I wish I had created the script sooner because it would have saved me a lot of time. But you can do pretty cool stuff if you take those channels and animate separate masks for them. So check this out. Let's create a quick kind of bleeding ink animation that's going to let us reveal this thing. And to do that, I'm just gonna create a new solid in here. And I think I clicked away for a moment. Let's do it. New solid, I'll call it bleed. And I'm just gonna apply fractal noise on it. Maybe give it some automatic evolution, time times 50. Just make sure that it doesn't go too fast. This is fairly good. Maybe increase the complexity just a little bit to give it more grain, and then fade it from white to black, right? So I'm gonna increase the contrast just a little bit so it's a bit stronger, and then go from brightness -100 to, let's say, brightness, you know, that's a bit too long, let's make it 5 seconds long, to brightness +100. Okay, so if I watch it right now, it basically animates through. And I can make 3 copies of this layer right now. And on each copy, I'm just gonna change the evolution a little bit. So I'm gonna just apply different random seed and maybe rescale it a bit. So let's scale this one up, make 1 more copy. And what should we do? Let's scale this one even further. And where was the random seed? I switched from 0, so I no longer know where it is. In here? Yes. And just drag it here. So right now I have 3 distinct transitions. And maybe one more thing I could do is just offset them in time a bit. So let's grab these guys and put them somewhere here. Maybe make them a bit shorter. Same here. A bit shorter. And this is about right. So what I want to do is I want to fade the cyan color first, followed by magenta and followed by yellow. Actually, I should probably do yellow first because yellow is the most pale. So I should bring blue fairly quickly afterwards, and then magenta. Yeah, magenta will be really strong and we may not even be able to see what's happening if we already blend the other color. So let's pick the yellow one, bring the bleed on top of it, and just select, and I believe that should be the Luma matte. Let's see, start from 0 and fade in. Yeah, and that worked just fine. So let's do it with the other ones as well. Luma, turn the layer on, and Luma in here as well. And that's pretty much it. So you can see that we're bleeding in the first ink, yellow ink, and as it's forming the image, the cyan one starts kicking in, adding a lot of that green, and then finally the red one adds on top. This final stage doesn't look so great, and that's probably because the other inks already started in. So probably this would work best if all of those wipes were kind of directional. If they came from different directions, let's say yellow would start from one corner and blue or cyan from another, it would look much better. But this is a really cool, quick way of making fairly effective transitions, and I encourage you to go and check my YouTube channel if you want to see this effect done really right, and some more time put into adjusting the timings and directions of all the reveals. Well, really, there you have it. I mean, there isn't that much to talk about in here. I think that explains how to use it, and knowing myself and my tendency to just go on and on about a single topic, I could have made this tutorial half the length and twice as entertaining, but you know what, I'm giving you free tools, so no complaints, please. Again, download the tool from QubaHQ.com or tutorials.QubaHQ.com. Install it in your Photoshop and After Effects, and enjoy using it. If you're watching this video and you made it until this point, I'm assuming you liked it, and just like with the previous one, I would like to ask you to just click that little heart button if you're on Vimeo, or the thumbs up or like or whatever your social media provides you. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook. Let more people know about this stuff. The more viewers I get, the more motivation I get to really continue developing these tools. And actually, I've been kicking around an idea of doing some of those sessions live via Twitch TV, should I get enough people interested in it. If you think it's a good idea, leave a comment below this video, and we'll see. If we get the critical mass behind such a concept, we could do something like QubaHQ live once or twice a month, where you can ask me questions online and I just show you how to do cool shit in After Effects. Yeah, so that's it, I guess. For QubaHQ tutorials, I was Kuba Michalski, and I'm not really sure what the next tutorial will be, but I'll see you there.